Hey, what's up everyone? John the Geek here, and today we're going to be taking another look at the Acer C7 Chromebook. And so we're going to look at some of the software features here, its capabilities, and the possibility of upgrading the hard drive and the RAM. And so the first thing we're going to do is turn this on, and it's a very simple as opening the cover like many of the commercials are. That's how you turn it on, and it's not something I'm too fond of. I really don't actually want that to turn on when I open up the cover. I'd rather just press the power button there, and it's not anything that I can see where or how to turn off, so that's just something I'm gonna have to get used to or deal with. And so this is the first time that it's starting up, and we're going to go through connecting to the wireless network here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that first. And once you're connected to the internet, you're going to continue and accept the terms of service, and it's going to check for updates. There shouldn't be any updates because I've already started this once or twice. And then once we're ready to go, it's going to ask for a user account, and you do have to have a Gmail account already existing. I don't think you can actually sign up for a new account. Oh, actually you could. If you wanted to, you could create a new account. And so I'm going to go ahead and log in now. And once you log in, you're going to choose a profile picture. It's actually going to access your account and look for your profile photo, your Google profile photo. And that's pretty much it. All of your settings that you have saved in your Google Chrome browser, it all gets imported and saved onto your Chrome device here. And so that's essentially it. We can already start opening up new tabs. We can open up our Gmail account, Google Search, or Google Drive, which by the way I've already activated the 100 gigs of storage space for free for 2 years. And so we can start up a YouTube account or a YouTube video page here. And so before I get into all of the UI or all of the features and stuff like that, what I would like to show you actually is a multi-user account environment. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out of this. And so the first thing I wanted to show you is that you are able to log in as a guest and browse as a guest. So when you click on this option here, you have a Chrome browser, and all you're able to do is just surf the internet. You can't download any apps under this account and install any Chrome web apps or anything like that. You don't have any access to anything. You could log in, since it is a browser, you could log in with into your Gmail account and then browse your files that way, things on Google Drive, Google Docs, or anything like that. You could go that route, but it's very limited to what you could do on here, which is perfectly fine because it is, after all, the guest account. And let's see what kind of settings here that you have. Yeah, you don't have really a whole lot of access to any settings, anything like that. And so let's see if we can actually reset. That's a little scary. The guest can actually reset and wipe out the entire OS. I'm thinking maybe this is the guest account. We're doing it live. I'm not sure what to expect on here. That's not a really good feature to have, Chrome OS. I'm sorry, but I don't want my guest to be wiping out. So yeah, actually if I click on this button here, I will be doing a factory reset. And this was under the guest account, by the way, mind you. And so not exactly a great feature to be having on here. What I want to mention also is that even when you add a second account, another Gmail account, which I have done, that other account can also wipe out and reset the entire device. And so this doesn't just reset that person's account. This erases everything that's on the laptop or the device here, and it erases everything, any files that are stored locally on the machine. Like if another user copied some important documents or files or anything like that, it would be gone. Everything's gone right now. We're back to square one. Let's take a look at some of the settings and options that we have here. Here we have the connection to the Wi-Fi. Right down here is a multi-monitor setup, or essentially I have an output of to a display right now, but it's actually my capture card. That's why you're seeing the ability, my screen so clearly, because I'm recording the output of it. And so what happens when you insert an HDMI or external monitor is that it changes the resolutions to 1024 by 768 on both devices, on the output as well as the screen here. And it doesn't really look that great, but again, not exactly the most powerful graphics processing power in this little device here. You get what you pay for. You get the black bars on the side here because 1024 by 768 is 4:3 aspect ratio, so it doesn't look all that great on the netbook or on the Chrome device, and this is the best that you get. Although many projectors out there that you'll probably come across, well, in the future it'll be HD, but there's a lot of projectors still out there that does 1024 by 768, and that's their best resolution, so I can't complain. And the only options that you get here are just to start mirroring, and that's about it, or stop mirroring. Right now it is mirroring, so I don't even know why it says start mirroring, because it is mirroring right now, but whatever. So then we can take a look at our settings here. We got the Wi-Fi again, we got the appearance, we can set wallpapers, we can set themes to this. The only settings that we can change hardware-wise is the touchpad sensitivity, the mouse sensitivity, buttons related type of stuff. We can change search functionalities, and this is pretty much standard on your Chrome browser. Let's take a look at the advanced settings. We can change the date and time, privacy, content settings. Again, that's all Chrome related. Where do we want our files to go when we download them? And so cloud print, yada yada, and again the dreaded reset everything and wipe everything out. You can't even password protect that, for goodness sakes. I don't even know why that's even there. But anyways, so moving on to the system performance, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a YouTube video. We'll play one of my own videos here. I'll do the Acer Chromebook overview and specs. Seems fitting since I'm doing a follow-up video here. Let me just skip this commercial. It's playing all loud. Sorry.
Hey, what's up everyone? John the Geek here, and today I'm going to be showing you the Acer C7 Chromebook from the Google Play Store.
I don't know why my voice sounds all like a chipmunk. But let me turn it up to 1920 by, or no, 720. Excuse my internet connectivity here. That's my internet connectivity. Don't knock it for buffering. But it's smooth. That's the only thing I really wanted to test out or really care about. And keep in mind, this is double the resolution of 1024 by 768. So if you just had your monitor only, it would run just as well. I mean, it's doing pretty good for running on both displays here. 1024 by 768. If you don't believe me, here it is. There it is right there. Alright. So that's the video playback on the web browser there for YouTube. Right? And then what we're going to do now is that I have a thumb drive here with some video files on it, and I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Now, the Chrome OS itself doesn't have a whole lot of codecs to choose from, or to play with, or to play video files with, right? And here we have a QuickTime Movie. This is straight from my camera DSLR. When I click on this, it doesn't work, right? This is straight out of my camera, DSLR camera. It doesn't work, all right? Kind of expected that. Then I have a MP4 movie. I'm not gonna play this because it's a movie, and my YouTube account, they won't let me monetize it if I play this movie, but it does play, so you gotta believe me on that, and it plays pretty well, or it plays very well. It plays as expected, as well as any other device, right? And then we have a MKV file, and again, doesn't play MKV files. I encoded this using Handbrake. And then I have a M4V file, and this plays just fine. So I'll go ahead and play this. Now this is a 1080p video file that I have from footage from my DSLR camera. And so we can go ahead and full screen this. And so this, again, it's 1024 by 768, technically HD, but it's across two different screens here, double the resolution, right? And the performance for the video playback is pretty good, right? And so that is the video playback. Here's my Google Drive where I can access files. Here are the downloads folder, and I can go ahead and actually, you know, click on these, click and drag, and copy them to my downloads folder. This is locally, and this is now stored locally on my machine. And that's pretty much it. There, you can't really put any icons, I don't think, on the desktop here. No. You can only set the wallpaper. That's about it. Right? Not a whole lot to it. Very minimalistic. Again, that's how it's supposed to be on the Google Chrome OS. Alright, now this is where the magic happens. Now we're actually going to upgrade the hard drive and RAM, but before we do that, we actually have to create a recovery disk. It's a very simple process. All I need is to get my thumb drive, and we can get started. Alright, so I've got my thumb drive here, and so what we need to do is open up the browser, and we're going to go to Chrome //image burner right here. Alright, says create an OS recovery media. Now you can use a multitude of operating systems to create this recovery disk. You could use Windows, you could use Mac OS X, you could use Linux if you wanted to. You can even use this Chrome OS device here. This seems to be the very easiest because you just go to that image burner and you plug in your thumb drive here, and that's pretty much it. It downloads a 400 megabyte Chrome OS image and just sticks it onto your thumb drive. Pay no attention to that. So it's going to ask you here, memory stick detected. Hey, everything on this drive is going to be erased. Yes, obviously, that's kind of expected when you're going to create a bootable recovery disk. So this is going to take a couple of minutes to download and install onto the disk. After that, we'll have a Chrome OS ready recovery disk, because when we put in a new hard drive, obviously it's not going to have a operating system on there, and it's going to ask you, hey, stick in the recovery disk so that we can recover Chrome OS onto the new hardware, new hard drive. So we'll be back when this finishes. Alright, so after about 5 to 10 minutes, it recovers everything, it downloads, and then it installs onto the drive. Shouldn't take more than about 5 minutes, depending, actually I lied, depending on how fast your internet is. If your internet is slow or you're getting the file slow, it's going to take a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but it shouldn't take more than an hour, I would say, depending on how long it takes you to download 400 megabytes. Right? And that's pretty much it. We can remove the drive from our system. We have our recovery drive here. And now on to the magic. We're going to open this sucker up. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. We're going to crack this sucker open. But before we do that, we need to void the warranty. And my disclaimer is, you're doing this at your own risk. And so I'm just showing you for the purpose of education. And essentially, we have a sticker here, and behind this sticker is a screw. And so it is easy to remove. You have to be very careful though, because a sticker can easily rip into shreds. And so I'm just gonna ever so slightly temporarily move that over. And so we got the screwdriver here. I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew this one screw. Once we got that out, you can go ahead and slide this. Oh, by the way, we should probably take out the battery. Before anything, take out the battery. Last thing you want to do is short something out. And make sure you're properly grounded too. Touch some piece of metal somewhere and get rid of the anti-static for all of you that are afraid of electric static discharge. Anyways, so we slide that out. Do you see how I did that? You just slide it out that way. And voila. So we got a hard drive here. We've got memory and an extra slot. So it's 2 gigs of memory here. You can easily add another 2 gigs. 4 gigs is plenty enough for what you got to do. However, I'm going to go overboard and install 8 gigs of memory. Right? I don't recommend that you install 8 gigs, but I just happen to have this extra 8 gigs. And so the first thing we'll do is we're going to pop out the old memory stick by opening the 2 little tabs there. Just see how I did that? These two little tabs. Just spread them outward. Then we're going to add the new RAM, and so there's a little slot there, there's a little notch there, and it's just as simple as sliding that in so that all the metal is gone out of there. So we got 1 stick installed. Then we're going to install the second one. And voila, we've just upgraded this bad boy to 8 gigs of RAM, which is ridiculously overkill. 16 gigs I could probably handle too, but that's even super ridiculous overkill. Do not need anything like that. Now, on to the hard drive. And unfortunately, this hard drive is a 7mm thin hard drive, so it's a very, very thin hard drive. Most hard drives that are out there today, both rotational and spindle hard drives, are typically 9 to 9.5 millimeters, most likely 9. So most hard drives, even SSDs, will not fit in here. So for example, this SSD right here, really inexpensive for an SSD, will not physically fit in this drive right here. So I just unscrewed a couple of screws here, and what we're gonna do before we extract this is that we're gonna open up the pin here, the data cable, and you just slide out these 2 little pins that are on the side here, these black little pins there. Slide that out, right? Be careful, don't break it, because it is plastic. Then we're gonna ever so slightly slide out the hard drive. There's a little plastic tab here, very convenient, and then just slide this out. So we got the data cable safe and secure, right? Then we have the hard drive here. Here it is in all its glory. Let me focus in on this and show you. So there it is. My light just went out. Right, super thin. And then here is, to compare, a regular hard drive. There. Right. So this is a Seagate Momentus thin 320 gig right there. Now they do make 7mm SSDs, but they are kind of expensive. One recommendation that I have is by OCZ. 60 gig is about 80 bucks, which is pretty expensive because you can get a 120 gig SSD nowadays for about 80 bucks. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this bracket here by unscrewing the 2 little sides here, and we're going to try to figure out what to do about this upgrade, since I do not have a solid state drive handy, or a low profile thin 7mm solid state drive. I'm gonna have to do a little modification to an existing solid state drive that I have. So we remove this bracket here, we'll set this aside for now, and then to ever so carefully slide this out like so, right? So you just kind of scoot that out here. I'll show you again. You just want to kind of back and forth slide this out, And then we have our SATA bracket. Be careful with this. We'll set this aside. And we're going to grab our spare solid state drive. But before we do that, let's take a look at the internals here. While we're at it, here we have a fan that pretty much cools off the entire system, including the CPU, as this little copper arm reaches around here. And this is the CPU right underneath there. And we have our CPU. It doesn't look like it's removable. I mean, there'd be a whole lot I'd have to do to try to see if it is removable. I'd have to take out all these little screws here, the plastic bezel. Not something I really want to do right now. Even still, honestly, what am I going to upgrade that to? Unless I found a mobile Core i5 processor for like 20 bucks or something, not really worth the trouble of upgrading this little thing. Even if I do upgrade it to a beefier CPU, I don't know if this heatsink is adequate enough to cool a more powerful CPU. Plus the price and the time, you might as well buy yourself a better laptop with this. Not to discourage those of you who are considering doing that. But anyways, moving on, we have the hard drive bay, as you already know, a couple of RAM slots here, as you already know, a number 2 sign there. I don't know what that means. Got a couple of speakers here, which isn't bad, right? For a tiny little laptop like this. I'm kind of shocked. Then we have the chipset right down here. I don't want to really touch that. I don't know why that's exposed like that and not have a heatsink on it, but it must not get very hot. Anyways, we have the wireless LAN here, which is a dual band, and I failed to mention that in my last video. It is a dual band Wi-Fi on there, both 2.4 gigahertz as well as 5 gigahertz. And so that's pretty much it for this system here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so here I have a OCZ Vertex 2 60 gigs of SSD. Like I mentioned earlier, this will not fit in our system, but in the spirit of voiding warranties, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Of course, my disclaimer again, I don't recommend that you do this. This is potentially very, very bad. Not a good idea to be doing this. Exposing parts like this, bare naked parts. And so I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this. I open this up like so. There we have our chips. And so essentially we got 4 more screws here. And voila, we have our SSD, which again, I don't recommend you handling it in such a way as I am. Let's bring back our notebook here. Alright, and so we got to figure out a way to get this like this. Oh, let's actually install the SATA cable like so. And so this is have to sit like this. So then, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll reuse this just so that it could sit inside there. Alright, so what I've done here is I've taken the outer cover here and I've added a little piece of drawer lining. This is for the kitchen cabinet type things. I just cut out a little square here. You probably want to use something like a piece of plastic. That would be better. I just don't want the chips here, the bare chips, to be touching this bare metal cover here, and so I'm gonna just go ahead and insert this down like so and make sure that everything's all lined up properly like so. Right, so everything's flush there. Again, you don't really need to be doing such things as this. Now I'm gonna add the bracket back onto here. Alright, so I got the bracket on. Now I'm going to insert the cable. I just got to make sure that this is pulled out here. 2 little plastic tabs. Insert the cable. It's nice and flush. You can then close the little tabs there. Then we can just set down the modified SSD. We can now put back the screws. And that's all she wrote. Now we can put back this cover. And of course the battery. Now let's plug this in and see how it goes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the moment of truth. I'm gonna go ahead and power it on, and it's gonna start up, and hopefully it asks me for the boot up disk or the recovery disk. Yep, and there we go. Chrome OS is missing or damaged. Please insert a recovery disk. I will do so now. And so once you insert the disk, it's going to recognize that it's a recovery drive and begin the recovery process. Alright, so our recovery is complete, and the simple act of removing the thumb drive will restart the system, and it should boot into Chrome now. Let's see how long this takes. Normally it would take about 20 seconds to start up, and this was about half that time. This was about 10 seconds to start up, and we have a fresh brand new installation of Chrome OS. So that's pretty much it. That's all I'm really going to show for now. My next project is going to be that I install Windows 7 on here. Hopefully you found that somewhat entertaining or useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.